Hey friends, 5 or 6 weeks ago, during one of my video reflections, I introduced our daughter, Ruth, and asked her some questions about church, um, and got some pretty insightful answers. Of course, some shenanigans ensued as well. Um, but I want to take today's video to bring back Ruth and to ask her a few more questions. Specifically, I think it goes without saying that we've had a lot of conversations at St. Barnabas specifically, but as a church more broadly, about welcome and about how we as a community of faith can be intentional in the ways that we do our ministry together, so that people who might not otherwise or might historically have been marginalized by the church can feel very genuinely welcome into our space. At St. Barnabas, we've recently gone through the process becoming a more light congregation, which is specifically focused towards LGBTQ folk. And of course, now we're having a national conversation about race and the ways that our spaces are sometimes unintentionally, but other times quite intentionally designed to benefit people of one race. And so I was reminded of a book that Ruth and I and Grace have read often. This was a gift from Heather Jones Butler. She's the associate pastor down at Emmanuel Presbyterian Church in Montgomery, Alabama. And if you were at my installation service last October, you heard her preach. It's called A Church for All. It's by Gail Pittman. And it is, as you can imagine, a book that focuses on the different sorts of people that we can see at church, and why it's important that we do see a wide variety of people. So, Ruth's just in the other room. She knows again that we're doing the video, but I have not trained her or prompted her in anything that we're about to say. So these responses are going to be off the cuff from her, and I look forward to seeing what she has to say. Now, do you remember what we talked about last time we were on a video?
No.
Yes, you do.
Church?
Church. That's right. And have we been back to church to see all of our friends very recently, or has it been a long time?
It hasn't been a long time.
It has been a long time. I agree. So, do you know what this book is? Do you know what it's called? Jesus. That is a very good guess. It's called A Church for All. Yeah, and we've read this book before, right? Yeah. So is this book all about the types of people we see at church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my Jesus were different kind of people.
Your teacher, Miss G, said that there's all sorts of different types of people?
Yeah.
Yep. That's very true. And is this talking about how they're all at church?
Yeah.
So let's read this. It says, poor and wealthy, plain and dressy.
No, Daddy. Let's find the people's shirts.
Find their shirts?
Yeah. We're going to have the flower shirt.
Who has a flower on their shirt, you mean? Oh, yeah. This woman does. Here's the picture.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Ruth, come sit down here, please.
Yes, the daddy.
Yeah, that's me. All right. All embracing, spirit gracing, each one at our church for all.
Daddy, I can go potty. You have the brown hair.
I'm going to read the next page, okay? Bodies wiggling, mommies reading, children giggling, daddies pleading. And do you see all the kids that are in there?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Here.
Yeah.
We have to find all the sisters.
Find the sisters?
Yeah.
I think I see 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe.
I see one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You see 8 sisters?
Yeah.
Okay. Toddlers flailing, babies wailing. There's room at our church for all. This one has some babies in it, doesn't it? How many babies do you see?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And does our church have a room just outside the sanctuary?
Yeah.
Where everyone says hello to each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hands receiving, hands connecting. Do you remember that we say hello to everyone before and after church?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hearts believing, hearts accepting. Feel the Spirit. Can you hear it? Ruth, do you know what you call that group? The people who sing?
No.
Is that the choir?
Yeah.
Choir?
Yeah.
What's your favorite song to sing at church?
The Jesus song.
The Jesus song. That's fair enough. It's here in our church for all. And they're in. What room are they in right there?
The singing.
The singing room?
Yeah.
Did you call that the living room last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ruthie, do you like seeing all of our friends when they're on the computer or on our phone from church?
Yeah, because we have seen on our movie, right?
That's right. Can you come here? So, Ruthie, when we're at church, are there people who are kiddos like you?
Yeah.
Are there people who are mommy and daddy's age?
Yeah.
Are there people who are grandparents like Gaga and J-Pa and Nini and Papa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there some people from far away?
Yeah.
And some people from close to us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like going to church to see all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that makes Jesus happy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And remember how you talked at school about having friends that look different?
Yeah.
Is it good to have people who look different too?
Yeah, so let's play the dice on the carpet.
So, Ruth, if you could say one thing to all of our friends from church, what would you want to tell them?
I love you.
I love you. That's very nice. What do you want to do together when we're able to see them again?
Play with them.
Where are you going to play with them?
Yeah.
At our house?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do next time we have church?
Yeah.
Is to come to our house to play?
Yeah.
Y'all are invited, I guess.
Daddy.
Ruth, when we watch church on the screen, what do you like to watch?
At the movies.
At the movies?
Yeah.
When we watch church on a screen, what part of the screen do you like to do? Do you like to watch most? Moana. Moana. Here, just need to click this button. Say, love you, and wave.
You.
We miss you.
We miss you.
Well, that went about as expected. I hope you enjoyed hearing from her. Of course, we read just the second half of this book. It's a fairly long book, and didn't want to didn't want to take time to do the whole thing. But if you want to, I would encourage you to find that book at the library or to find it online. Really is great. We've enjoyed having this as part of our bedtime routine from time to time with Ruth. I do think that as we go forward into a new season of ministry at St. Barnabas and again as a larger church, that we're going to be paying very close attention to a lot of the details of what we do as a congregation, right? So whether it's 3 weeks from now or 3 months from now or however long until we are worshiping again in person, having Sunday school together in person, we're focusing, and at this point, the task force for our congregation is focusing on all these tiny little details. Can we use bulletins, right? Is it safe to use bulletins or hymnals? Is it safe to sing together? Is it okay to have greeters, right? Certainly not shaking hands, but should we even have greeters, or should they be more educators about what the about what we are, what our protocols are going to be for when we do return to worship? We're focusing on every tiny little detail of what happens when someone walks into or drives into our parking lot until the time they leave, and importantly, what their experience is online. If we're going to be doing a live stream, do they feel welcomed and included on the online platforms that we're going to be using? We're doing that now because there's, of course, a pandemic. It's much needed. We need to focus on that to ensure people's health. But can we focus that same sort of attention on the other parts of our life together so that it's not just people's physical health that they feel safe being in our building, but also parts of who they are, right? We know that there are people who are vulnerable because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19. Can we take that same mindset and apply that to thinking intentionally about how we do things and how people might respond if they are coming in and they speak a different language? What if their mother language is not English? What if they're a different color than we are? What if they are from a different socioeconomic background? What if, theoretically, they can't read? What would that be like? We approach questions like that infrequently in the church, and when we do, I think generally it's with something of tongue-in-cheek. We know that our experience in this place has been wonderful, and so of course everyone else's experience in this place must be wonderful also. But how often do we take time to examine the details of how we live together as people of faith to intentionally create a space that is welcoming to everyone? That is the task before us. One of the conversations we're having as a national church, and this being the week of General Assembly that is meeting virtually, one of the things we as a church are wrestling with is how our denomination, how our structures were built with really one race in mind, with white people in leadership, and examining the ways that intentionally or unintentionally there were benefits drawn into our system of our denomination based on race. We don't love talking about it. It can be uncomfortable. And of course, I think even the most well-meaning allies in conversations about race can feel self-conscious about, am I going to mess this up? Am I going to say something that's going to embarrass myself or offend someone else? How can I do this, put all this energy into trying to be helpful and to be faithful if I'm not sure I'm even doing it right? I know I feel that way sometimes, but that's the work we need to be doing. At the heart of this is this theological idea of the Imago Dei, the image of God, that every human is made in God's image. Theologically, we believe we are all equal in the eyes of God. And so, we must treat everyone with the amount of respect and love that designation deserves. We as a denomination, in fact, are having conversations about our book of confessions, and there's this idea of what we call theological anthropology. It's how do we identify ourselves as people of God, and wondering whether we might not need a confession to specifically lay out that discrimination, bigotry, bias of any sort against people based on their essential their essential traits is against the image of God. That's a conversation. Hasn't happened yet. I hope as we move forward, whether it is imagining the sorts of people that we have sitting in our pews or worshiping with us online, or as we're having conversations about how we as a congregation and a denomination can be more welcoming in the way we do everything else. I pray that we can be humble. We can acknowledge that we're not going to always get it right, but also acknowledge that, as Ruth said, it's always better when all of God's people can spend time together free of division. Love you all. Look forward to seeing you in whatever shape or form that might take sometime soon. Take care.
Hey, Daddy, can you turn this on, please?
It is on.
Hello. Hello.
Come sit down here this way.
I want you to do it. Hello. My name is Jesus.
Do you need to go potty?
So you can fix my hair. Can you just like dice after you
Here, bring it here. Bring it here. This hand or this hand? Nope. There it is.
No, you have to go like that.
To roll the numbers.
Yeah. Daddy. Are you ready to play the game on the floor?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Let's play the dice on the carpet. Daddy, come here. While you were playing the dice. No. Nana, make way.